It's Wednesday, June 10th, 2026. You're listening to the DX Today AI Daily Brief. Today, Anthropic releases Claude Fable 5, its most capable model ever made widely available. China prepares a $295 billion plan for a nationwide AI data center network. And Apple and Brussels trade blame over the missing launch of Siri AI in Europe. Let's get into it.
Anthropic has released Claude Fable 5, the first model in its new Mythos class tier to reach general availability. The company says Fable's capabilities exceed those of any model it has ever made widely available, scoring more than 10% higher than Claude Opus 4.8 on some benchmarks. The broad release rests on new safeguards that block responses in high-risk areas, including cybersecurity and biology. When a user asks a high-risk question, the system declines and falls back to Opus 4.8 for a safe answer. Early data shows at least 95% of sessions running entirely on Fable itself. Pricing is $10 per million input tokens and $50 per million output tokens, double the cost of Opus. Subscribers on paid plans can use the model through June 22nd.
Now to Beijing's big plan.
China is preparing to spend roughly 2 trillion yuan, about $295 billion, over the next 5 years to build a nationwide network of interconnected AI data centers, according to Bloomberg News. Key agencies, including the National Development and Reform Commission, are drafting the blueprint. State-owned carriers, China Mobile and China Telecom would operate most of the facilities and link them into a unified computing environment targeted for 2028. The plan calls for domestic suppliers, including Huawei, to provide at least 80% of the technology, effectively squeezing out American chip makers. The figure covers publicly funded infrastructure and excludes the heavy spending already underway at private firms like Alibaba and Tencent.
Next, tensions in Brussels.
Apple and Brussels spent Tuesday blaming each other for the absence of the company's new Siri AI in Europe. Apple says it cannot bring the assistant to iPhones, iPads, and Apple Watches in the European Union, pointing to the bloc's Digital Markets Act and arguing that regulators refuse to engage with a European-specific solution it proposed. The European Commission pushed back sharply. A spokesperson said the decision not to roll out Siri AI in Europe is Apple's and Apple's only, because nothing in the law prohibits the company from introducing new products. The Commission says Apple sought an exemption from its legal obligations rather than building interoperability that meets European privacy and security standards. The delay is indefinite, leaving European customers waiting.
Now to the power race.
AI infrastructure firm Crusoe announced that its contracted capacity now approaches 5 gigawatts across its data center projects and its cloud platform, with 4.9 gigawatts under contract. The company's total development pipeline, including sites under negotiation and in advanced development, exceeds 40 gigawatts. Crusoe's contracted portfolio spans 5 AI data center campuses across the United States, serving hyperscale customers. Unlike developers that treat power and construction as sequential steps, the company develops them together from the start, manufacturing long lead electrical components at its own facilities in Colorado, Oklahoma, and Louisiana, and shipping prefabricated equipment ready for installation. The announcement underscores how quickly demand for large-scale AI computing capacity continues to accelerate among the world's biggest technology companies.
Next up, enterprise software.
IT management platform. NinjaOne has raised more than $400 million in Series C extension funding at a valuation of $12.3 billion. The round drew participation from Wellington Management, Teachers Venture Growth, Sequoia Capital, Iconic, NEA, and Capital G, among others. NinjaOne provides IT operations and endpoint management software, and the company says demand is rising as enterprises grapple with a more complex technology environment shaped by AI agents, remote work, and device sprawl. Investors are betting that platforms which simplify endpoint security and automation will become more strategic as companies deploy artificial intelligence across their operations. The funding ranks among the larger enterprise software rounds of the year and signals continued investor appetite for tools that manage complexity in the AI era.
Now, robots raising big money.
Robotics company Standard Bots has raised $200 million in Series C funding at a valuation of about $1 billion, bringing its total raise to roughly $220 million. The round was led by RoboStrategy with General Catalyst as co-lead, joined by the Amazon Alexa Fund, Samsung Next, Box Group, and Giant Leap Capital. The New York-based company builds AI-native robotic arms and is positioning itself around manufacturing them in the United States, a pitch that aligns with broader efforts to bring industrial production back on shore. Standard Bots says its machines are designed to be programmed without specialized engineering talent, lowering the barrier for smaller manufacturers to automate. The raise reflects growing investor focus on physical AI that operates in the real world.
Next to Finland and Orbit.
Finnish satellite company ICEY announced a €450 million Series F round, roughly $487 million, led by General Atlantic at a valuation above €10 billion. The raise ranks as Europe's largest space technology round in years and brings the company's total funding to about €1.3 billion. ICE operates a constellation of radar imaging satellites that can see through clouds and darkness, and it pairs that imagery with an analytics platform used by governments and defense agencies. Backers include Finland's state investor Solidium, pension funds Varma and Ilmarinen, Nokia, the Qatar Investment Authority, and venture firm TCV. The company plans to build more satellites and expand its analytics business as demand for geospatial intelligence grows.
Now, defense tech in France.
French defense technology startup Alta Ares has raised €50 million to expand its AI-powered air defense systems. The round was led by Air Street Capital, with participation from Cherry Ventures, OTB Ventures, and Harpoon Ventures. The company develops autonomous air defense and surveillance systems that run artificial intelligence at the edge, aimed at countering drones and other aerial threats. The raise comes as drone warfare reshapes defense procurement across Europe, Ukraine, the Middle East, and Asia, and as investors increasingly back startups, promising cheaper, faster, and more adaptive systems than traditional contractors deliver. European defense technology has become one of the continent's fastest-moving startup categories, and Alta Ares is among the companies trying to translate battlefield lessons into deployable AI systems.
Next, watching the AI bills.
Some of the largest technology companies are starting to police their own AI spending. According to reporting from Fortune and Gizmodo, companies including Amazon and Uber are implementing caps and internal guidelines on employee use of AI tools as token expenses. The per-use costs of querying large models begin to strain budgets. The moves reflect a broader acknowledgement that unchecked AI adoption carries real financial risk, even inside the firms building the technology. Analysts say internal cost controls signal maturing economics for enterprise AI, and they may slow blanket rollouts in favour of more selective deployment, where the tools clearly pay for themselves. For vendors, the message is that efficiency, not just capability, is becoming a core selling point in the enterprise market.
Now, a new acronym.
Wall Street and Silicon Valley may have a new favorite shorthand. Industry observers and executives are increasingly using the term MANGO, standing for Meta, Anthropic, NVIDIA, Google, and OpenAI, to describe the companies now defining the artificial intelligence era, according to reporting from Tech in Asia. The label is positioned as a successor to FANG, the acronym that captured the consumer internet giants of the last decade. The shift reflects how thoroughly AI has reordered technology leadership. NVIDIA's soaring valuation, the The rise of model builders like Anthropic and OpenAI and the pivot of Meta and Google toward AI infrastructure have moved investor attention away from social media and streaming and toward compute, chips, and frontier models. Acronyms come and go, but the capital is following this one.
Next, early-stage funding news.
Enterprise AI analytics startup Golden Analytics has raised $14 million in a seed extension, bringing its total seed funding to $21 million, according to tech startups. The round was led by Insight Partners, with participation from NEA and Madrona Ventures. The Bellevue, Washington company builds analytics software that applies artificial intelligence to enterprise data, part of a crowded but fast-growing category as businesses look for tools that turn raw information into usable insight. Seed extensions of this size have become more common in the current market, as investors concentrate capital in companies showing early traction before committing to larger Series A rounds. The deal adds to a steady flow of early-stage AI funding that continues beneath the headline, grabbing mega rounds.
And finally, weather intelligence.
Helsinki-based weather technology startup Skyfora has raised €6.5 million in Series A funding, led by Ugly Duckling Ventures, with participation from Evony Ventures, Lumo Labs, and the European Innovation Council Fund. Skyfora applies artificial intelligence to atmospheric data to improve forecasting, serving industries from energy to insurance that depend on anticipating severe weather. The company had previously raised about €5 million in seed funding. The round is small by the standards of this week's mega deals, but it points to a growing European push to commercialize AI for climate adaptation, as more frequent storms, floods, and heat waves raise the economic stakes of accurate prediction. Investors see weather intelligence as a sector where better models translate directly into avoided losses.
That's your briefing for Wednesday, June 10th, 2026. For DX Today, stay curious.